Raylen had not heard a sound in 3 years. The bunker was deep under the ground. Hidden behind rocks and trees, it was cold, quiet, and safe. He had power from old solar panels, food from cans, and water from a small purifier. But he had no one to talk to, no voice, no message, no hope. Earth was gone. Destroyed by a war humans could not win. The stars that once belonged to humans were now under alien rule. Raylen had survived because of luck, or maybe it was something else. He followed the same routine every day. Wake up, check the sensors, eat a cold meal, read an old book, and stare at the ceiling. His mind was getting weak. But he had no choice. Then, one day, everything changed. It started with a soft sound. A knock. Raylen froze. He was eating beans from a can, but the spoon dropped from his hand. He held his breath. Listening, another knock, soft, slow, like someone was asking, not forcing. He grabbed his old plasma knife and walked to the metal door. No one knew this place. He had turned off all signals years ago. Could it be an animal? No, not that soft. Who's there? He asked, but his voice cracked from lack of use. No answer. He checked the camera. It was broken. The screen only showed static. He had never fixed it because he never expected anyone. His heart beat faster. He stood in front of the door for a full minute. The silence returned. Then, just as he was about to step back, another knock. 3 slow taps. This time, Raylen opened the small hatch in the door. He saw something. Someone. A figure. Human shape. Short. Wearing a dark cloak. No weapon. No armor. Just standing there. Calm. He opened the door. Just a little. The cold air rushed in. The figure took a small step forward. And then he heard it. A voice. Soft, but clear. 3 words. You are needed. Raylen stared. He felt like the world had tilted. No one had spoken to him in years. And now, someone, maybe human, maybe not, had come with a message. He opened the door wider. The figure pulled back her hood. It was a girl, maybe 20 years old, with pale skin and silver eyes. Not fully human, he could tell, but not fully alien either. My name is Laia, she said, and I've come to take you back. Back? Raylen asked, confused. There's nothing left. She shook her head. There is, but not here. Raylen stepped out for the first time in years. The sky was gray, the land was dry, and the wind was cold. He looked at the trees, silent. Lifeless, he had buried his past, his hope, his future. But now, someone had come. Someone who said he was needed. Why me? He asked. Leah looked into his eyes. Because you are the first, she said. The first human we found. We? Raylen asked. I will explain, she said, but not here. It's not safe. Raylen hesitated. He looked back at the bunker. His prison and his shelter. Everything inside was old. Broken, dead. He had stayed alive, but not really lived. He looked at Laia again. She didn't look dangerous. In her hand, she held something, a small round device glowing with blue light. What is that? He asked. A beacon, she replied. It woke up when it sensed human DNA nearby. So that knock, he said, wasn't just luck. No, Laia said, smiling gently. It was a call. Raylen took a deep breath. Then he nodded. All right, he said. Let's go. And with that, Raylen stepped away from the ruins of the past and walked into something unknown. Above them, hidden behind the clouds, something moved. A ship. Watching, waiting. But Raylen didn't know that yet. He only knew one thing. His life, which had been quiet and cold for so long, had just been broken open by a soft voice at the door. The sky was not silent anymore as Raylen followed Laia across the dry hills. He felt something he had not felt in years. Movement. The wind carried sounds he could not name. And the ground under his feet no longer felt dead. Something had changed the moment she knocked, and Raylen was beginning to wonder if that knock had reached more than just him. They walked for hours, saying almost nothing. Raylen's eyes kept moving to the device in Laya's hand, a glowing blue sphere that pulsed like a heartbeat. "What is that thing really?" he finally asked. Leah glanced at it, then looked ahead. "It's a guide," she said, "and a test." "Test for what?" "For you," she said, without turning around. Raylen stopped. "Why are you being so vague?" Laya turned to face him, her silver eyes calm but intense. "Because if I tell you everything now, you'll turn back." Raylen frowned. "What makes you think I won't turn back already?" "Because," she said quietly. "You heard the voice." Raylen paused. That voice, those 3 words, still echoed in his mind. Not just the sound, but the feeling. It hadn't come from her mouth alone. It had come from somewhere deeper. Like it had passed through space, memory, and maybe even time. He didn't speak again after that. They walked until night came. Laya stopped near a broken stone structure, mostly buried under sand. "This is where we rest," she said. Raylen looked around. "This used to be a building." "Yes," Laya said, brushing dirt away from a hidden metal plate. "A very old one." Raylen helped her under the dust. There was a strange symbol, part human, part alien, like 2 languages fused into one. Laya placed her hand on it, and the ground vibrated slightly. A hidden door opened, revealing a staircase that led underground. "Come," she said. Raylen followed her down. The inside was lit by soft blue lights that came on as they walked. The walls were metal, but aged, and covered in strange carvings. Raylen looked closer. Some of the images were clearly human rockets, cities, faces. Others were alien symbols, creatures, ships he had never seen. "This place was built before the war?" he asked. "Before even Earth fell," Laya replied. "It was made during the first contact era." Raylen was shocked. That long ago. "Yes," she said. "But it was forgotten." They reached a circular room, where a tall device stood in the center. It looked like a tower made of mirrors, spinning slowly and glowing with soft blue light. "This is the reason I came to you," Laya said. "It's called a memory core." Raylen stepped closer. "What does it do?" "It holds a message," she said, "but it will only open for someone like you, like me." "Human," she said, "but more than that, a survivor. Someone who remembers the old world but still walks in the new." Raylen placed his hand on the core. For a second, nothing happened. Then light shot out from the device, forming shapes. In the air, moving images, glowing letters. A voice filled the room, calm and deep. "To the last of our kind, this is not the end," Raylen gasped. He recognized the voice. It was an old Earth leader, someone who had vanished before the fall. "If you find this, you are part of the answer," the message continued. The truth was never lost. It was buried, waiting for the right spark. The message ended, and silence returned. Raylen stepped back. He felt dizzy, like the room had spun around him. "So it's true," he said slowly. "We were meant for something," Laya nodded. "And now the ones who buried it will try to stop us from finding it." Raylen looked at her. "Who are they?" "The Zerneks," she said, her voice hard now. "They control this system, and they fear what humans can become." Raylen sat down on the edge of the platform. His hands were shaking. Not from fear, but from something deeper. Purpose. Laya sat beside him. "They didn't kill all of you," she said. "They scattered you, silenced you, made the galaxy forget you." Raylen looked up at the glowing core. "But they forgot one thing." He whispered. "What?" Leah asked. "That we're human," he said, "and we don't stay quiet forever, far above them." Beyond the ruined skies, a signal had been sent. The core had awakened, and others had felt it. In the cold corners of space, something ancient turned its head and started listening again. Asterisk, the truth was never lost. It was buried, the voice had said, but buried where? And why? Raylen had slept for only an hour. Even underground, even with the memory core quiet again, his mind would not stop. Images from the hologram still burned in his thoughts. Maps, coordinates, voices from a past he didn't remember clearly. And one image kept repeating a symbol, made of 3 circles, joined by a spiral line. He didn't know what it meant, but Leia did. That's the human code, she said as they walked across a red stone valley the next day. A message. Left in pieces, hidden in different systems, Raylen watched the desert stretch endlessly ahead. How many pieces? 7, Leia replied, 1 for each surviving group. Raylen stopped walking. There are others. Leia nodded. Not many, but yes, scattered across deep space. Asleep, hiding, or worse. Raylen looked down at the dusty ground. So we're just puzzle pieces. No, she said softly. You're the key. They reached a place where the stone dipped sharply into a canyon. Metal bones of a massive alien structure lay half buried beneath rock and sand, rust, cracks, and scorch marks. Showed it had been attacked long ago, but its core remained sealed, untouched. This was an archive tower, Leia said. Before the war, it stored knowledge from hundreds of species. Raylen raised an eyebrow, and we're here to read. Its library? No, she said, walking to a panel at the base. We're here to find something humans left behind. She placed her hand on the panel. And the ground trembled slightly. A soft hum rose as hidden power systems came alive. Ancient lights blinked on one by one as the tower slowly opened inside. The air was cold and still. Raylen stepped in carefully, scanning the walls. Everything was covered in data scripts, alien languages, moving diagrams, even floating text, but one section stood out, written not in alien code, but in Old Earth English. Raylen stepped closer. The same spiral symbol from the core appeared again, glowing faintly. Next to it was a sentence. The path is in the pattern. What does that mean? Raylen whispered. Leia didn't answer. She was busy connecting her device to a central interface. Streams of old data flowed around her, wrapping the room in moving light. Then, Raylen's skin tingled. He felt something strange, not sound, but pressure, like the room itself had started watching him. What's happening? Leia turned, surprised. It's reacting to you, she said. Only humans trigger this layer. A new panel opened on the far wall. Inside, it was something Raylen never expected to see again. A paper notebook. He picked it up slowly. The pages were filled with sketches, formulas, maps written by hand. The writing was messy but familiar. This is my father's, Raylen whispered. Leia's eyes widened. You're his son. You knew him? Raylen asked. Not directly, she said, but your father helped design the human code. Raylen's hands shook as he turned the pages. Memories flooded back. Flashes of fire, evacuation being pulled away as explosions. Toward the sky. He was only a child, but his father had placed something in his pocket that night. Raylen reached into his coat. He had always carried it, a small chip, flat and silver, with the spiral symbol etched into it. He handed it to Leia. I never knew what it was. Leia placed it into the tower's console. The lights dimmed, then flared bright blue. A new map appeared, this time showing not stars, but structures. Old human bases, secret locations, hidden tech lost after the war. The next piece is here, Leia said, pointing at a planet far across the system. But it won't be unguarded. Raylen stared at the map. His father had been part of something much bigger, and now, without knowing, he had carried the next step, the whole time. I thought I was just a survivor, Raylen said quietly. I didn't know I was part of this. You were always part of it, Leia said. The code was never random. It waits for the right person. Behind them, the archive tower sealed itself again. Its message delivered, its secret passed. On but far above, unknown to them both, something else had awakened. A Zernex warship orbiting in silent mode. Picked up the spike of energy inside it. Cold eyes focused on the source. They had found the code again, and this time, the Zernex would not let it spread. Raylen and Laia had no idea what was coming. They only knew the search had truly begun. And with it, the spark of something the galaxy had tried to forget. Humanity. Raylen hit the ground hard, his shoulders scraping the edge of a stone wall. Above him, the sky was burning. Red beams of energy lit the night like broken lightning, slicing. Across the hills, the bunker they had just left was already gone, melted under heavy fire. Sand flew everywhere. Smoke climbed like twisted fingers. "Run," Leah shouted. Pulling him up, her cloak was torn, her face cut, but her eyes burned with focus. Raylen didn't ask questions, he just ran. The valley had been quiet a moment ago. Now it screamed with sound, not natural sound, but machines, metal wings slicing the air, searchlights sweeping like hungry eyes. The Zernex had found them. They had arrived fast. No warning, no sound, just impact. Not a ship, not an army, something smaller. Something worse. Trackers. They dropped hunters. Laia said as they ducked into a narrow cave. 4 of them, silent class, Raylen, leaned against the wall, chest rising and falling. How did they find us? Laia held up the beacon device. It pulsed too hard when we activated the code. So they were watching, Raylen said. Not just watching, Laia whispered, listening. A screech echoed through the cave, sharp and unnatural, like metal scraping bone. Raylen's blood ran cold. He peeked around the rocks, in the distance. A dark shape hovered just above the ground. It moved without sound, only a shimmer in the air behind it. No eyes, no face, just armor and something, glowing at its center. "That's not a drone," Raylen whispered. "No," Laia said. "It's worse. It's alive." They moved deeper into the cave. Laia pulled something from her bag, a silver capsule. She crushed it in her hand. And a faint light spread around them. "A cloak field," she said. "Won't last long. But it'll hide us from the scanners." Raylen looked at her. "Have you fought them before?" "Once," she said. "I survived." They waited in silence. The hum of machines above slowly faded, but Raylen knew they weren't gone. Just circling, calculating, he touched the chip his father gave him, still safe in his coat. "This is what they want, isn't it?" "They don't understand it," Laia said. "But they fear it." Raylen clenched his fist. "So what now?" "We go where they don't expect us," she said. "To the place your father hid the next piece." "Where?" Leah looked at him. Inside their territory, Raylen stared. "You mean the Zernex core zone?" She nodded slowly. "They think no human would ever go there." Raylen gave a short, bitter laugh. "Maybe they're right, but maybe," she said. "That's exactly why we have to." Outside the cave, a soft sound rose again, the same screech. But closer, one of the hunters had landed. Leah grabbed Raylen's wrist. "We move now." They slipped out the back of the cave. The cloak field flickered but held. Each step was slow, careful, silent, but then a sharp click. Raylen's foot had pressed something. He looked down. A scanner node, half buried in sand, blinking red. The hunter turned instantly. No time to run, no time to think. It leaped, metal arms spreading wide, energy blade glowing red. Laia stepped in front of Raylen and raised her device. It cracked with white energy, blasting the hunter midair. The explosion threw all 3 of them backward. Raylen hit a rock, rolled, and scrambled to his knees. Laia was bleeding now badly. The hunter wasn't dead, but it was damaged. Sparks flew from its chest, wires exposed. Raylen grabbed a rock. Stupidly, instinctively. Then he saw the beacon. lying nearby, glowing bright, pulsing harder. He grabbed it and slammed it into the creature's open core. The beacon flared too bright to look at, and then silence. The hunter collapsed, twitching once, then still. Raylen dropped to the ground, shaking. The device in his hand was now dark. Drained, Leah crawled over beside him. Her voice was weak. "You just used it like a weapon." Raylen stared at his hand. "I didn't know what I was doing, but it worked," she said, smiling faintly. "You felt something, didn't you?" Raylen nodded slowly for a moment. "I felt like I knew what it wanted." "The code is waking up," she said, "and so are you." Above them, the stars turned slowly. Somewhere in the black, more hunters waited, but now they knew. The human was alive, and he wasn't running anymore. Raylen stood in a hallway that had no walls. The floor was made of light, the ceiling was sky, and the air was full of voices, whispers, old, broken, speaking in pieces, none of them made sense, yet all of them felt familiar. One voice rose above the rest, clear and deep. "Remember what you were made for?" He turned, searching. No one was there. Only shapes, shadows in the light, faces half-formed, reaching, fading. Then he saw himself, a child, holding a device, the chip his father gave him. But this time, it was glowing, spinning, alive. The child looked up at him and said one word: "Activate." Raylen woke with a gasp. His chest rose and fell fast, heart pounding like a drum. They were in a small stone shelter, built into the edge of a cliff. Leah had patched her wounds and was resting nearby. Outside, wind howled against the rocks, but inside, everything was still. Raylen touched the chip in his coat. It was warm, pulsing, like it had a heartbeat of its own. Leah opened her eyes slowly. "You felt it again, didn't you?" Raylen nodded. "I saw something, someplace, maybe a memory." "Not just a memory," Leah said, sitting up. "You're syncing with the core." "What does that mean?" Leah pointed at the beacon device, now dull and cracked from the fight. "It's not the only key," she said. "You are." Raylen stood, pacing. "Why me?" He asked. "I wasn't trained. I wasn't chosen. I was just hidden." "Exactly?" Leah said. "The Zernaks wiped out the leaders, the warriors, the scientists. But the real hope was never in them. It was in the quiet ones. The survivors, the forgotten." Raylen shook his head. "I don't feel powerful." "You don't have to," Leah replied. "The code isn't about force, it's about connection." She held out a small device, an interface glove. "Put this on," she said. "We'll test what's waking inside you." Raylen slipped it onto his hand. It clamped lightly. Around his fingers, lights on the side blinked once, then turned green. Leah activated the old screen nearby, dusty and cracked, but still working. A strange diagram appeared, rings of light around a central dot, like a solar system made of thought. "This is your link signature," Leah said. Every human had one, but most were never activated. Raylen stared as he looked closer. The rings began to move, not random, but reacting. To him, "You're syncing with it already," Leah said. Watching closely, "Try to focus." Raylen closed his eyes. He pictured the hallway from his dream, the glowing floor, the sky ceiling, the child holding the chip. The rings on the screen spun faster, then locked into a single shape, the spiral symbol from the human code. Leah gasped. "That's not supposed to happen." Raylen opened his eyes. "Did I break it?" "No," Leah whispered. "You unlocked it." The interface glove clicked and opened, then shut down. The screen went black, then showed one sentence: "Phase 2, unsealed." Raylen felt it before he saw it, something deep in his chest. Not pain, not fear, but pressure. Like a door inside him had been pushed open. He stumbled backward, grabbing the wall. Images flashed behind his eyes. Maps, memories, people he'd never met. A woman in a lab coat, smiling at him. A ship with the Earth's flag drifting in silence. A message: human potential is not power, it is choice. Then silence. Raylen stood still, sweating, shaking, but awake. More awake than he had ever been. Laia stepped forward. Slowly. You've entered Phase 2. What's that mean? It means you're not just carrying the code anymore. She said, you've become part of it. Raylen looked at his hands. They felt heavier, stronger, but not in a way he could measure. Something invisible had changed. What now? He asked. Laia turned toward the cave entrance. We go to the relay station, she said. It's the last safe place before Zernek's territory, and after that. Then, she said, we finish what your father started, far above, deep in orbit. The Zernek's warship tracked another signal. It had changed, not just a ping, but a pulse. Something ancient was moving again. And this time, it had a name, Raylen, *. The message was hidden in sound, not in light, not in text, but in a rhythm. As Raylen and Laia crossed the abandoned comms relay, the silence was thick. No machines moved, no lights blinked. But the air was not empty. There's a signal, Laia whispered. Holding up a scanner, faint, buried under static. Raylen stepped closer to the relay's core, a massive dish half covered in dust and vines. The system was old, untouched since the war, but something deep inside it still pulsed, a heartbeat. He placed his hand on the central panel. The interface came to life, barely, blinking red once, then green, and then the hum began. Not words, not music, but a pattern, a beat, slow and steady, then faster, then slow again. Raylen's heart matched it. His breathing followed it. The same rhythm he heard in his dream. It's not a normal signal, he said. It's human. Laia looked at him. You remember it? I don't know how, Raylen said, but yes. He typed a basic command into the old keyboard, unlock archive, a file opened, no video. Just a voice, calm, broken, familiar. This is the last message from Beacon Team 7. It said, if you're hearing this, you're not just alive, you're needed. Raylen froze. He knew the voice. Raylen, if it's you. The message continued. Then you're the spark. Laia turned sharply. Your father, she whispered. The voice went on. We hid the code. In pieces, hoping the next generation would survive long enough to remember. But the code was never just data. It was human will. Our ability to resist, adapt, hope. If even one of you remembers that, then humanity can return. Raylen leaned on the console, hands shaking. It wasn't just a mission now, it was personal. Do you hear it? Leah asked. Raylen nodded. I do, he said. It's not just sound. It's a call. He closed his eyes. The rhythm filled him, not like music, but like memory. Old instincts, long buried, returned, and something deep inside him unlocked. A burst of energy flashed through the console. The entire relay station lit up, systems activating, screens loading, messages connecting. The beacon had awakened. All comms open. Laia said in shock, this is going out across sectors. Raylen looked at the rising display. A wave of blue dots lit up across a star map. Small signals, returning pings. Messages from places long thought dead. Other humans, he whispered. They heard it, somewhere far away. In the ruins of another station, a hidden door opened. Somewhere else, a buried escape ship lit up for the first time in decades. Scattered survivors, deep sleep colonies, lost outposts, all hearing the same rhythm. Laia smiled for the first time in days. This is the spark, she said. The moment the galaxy remembers us, but it didn't go unnoticed, high above. The Zernek's core AI scanned the spike in human signals. It sent a warning to all Hunter. Fleet's human pattern reactivated, suppress immediately. The Hunters moved fast. Raylen didn't know how much time they had, but he knew this. He wasn't alone anymore. What now? He asked. Leah turned to him. Now we fight. She handed him a memory stick, smooth, silver, marked with the spiral symbol. This is the final location, she said. It's time to light the fire completely. Raylen took it, his hands. We're steady now. He had run, he had hidden, he had doubted, but now he believed. He turned to the stars. Somewhere out there, the rest of the code waited, and behind him. Humanity was waking up. Raylen looked back at the console one last time. The message still played on loop. If you were hearing this, his father's voice said again, you're not just alive, you're needed. This time, Raylen didn't cry. He stood tall. The spark had become a flame. Asterisk, why do the stars blink? The child asked. Raylen looked up, sitting beside her on the cold stone. He smiled. Gently, they're not blinking, he said. They're answering? The girl looked confused. Answering what? He didn't reply. Instead, he held up the small device in his hand, the final memory stick. Glowing blue, Leah watched from a distance, arms crossed, cloak blowing in the wind. They had reached the last site, an old human signal tower buried beneath the ice. But they weren't alone. The child, maybe 6 years old, was part of a small group that arrived 2 hours earlier. Humans, real ones, survivors. Their ships had followed the spark Raylen lit at the relay station. And now they were here, lost, scared, but alive. They've been underground for years, Leah said softly as she joined him. Some don't even know Earth is gone. Raylen looked at the group, maybe 20 people, some young, some old, all silent, all watching him. I didn't think we'd live to see this, he whispered. You didn't live, Leah said. Until now, he nodded. She was right. This moment, this crowd of silent survivors under the frozen sky, this was life returning. Raylen stood and walked to the console. It was ancient, half-buried, its surface cracked. By time, but the final port still worked. He placed the stick inside. The tower lit up slowly, humming, rising from the snow like a forgotten god. Then the voice came, soft, old, full of warmth. Final key confirmed. Human protocol restart begins. A bright light pulsed upward into the sky. One long signal, firing across the stars. Not a call for help, not a cry for war, but something far more powerful. A presence far above, in orbit, the Zernex war fleet. Turned, 12 ships, dark as shadow, closing in. The last attempt to silence what had awakened. They're coming, Leah said. Raylen nodded. They're late. Because just then, the stars blinked again. This time, in rhythm. 1, 2, 4, 12. Human ships, small and sharp, dropped from warp space, weapons hot, lights on. Some were military. Some were old transports, some barely flying, but all carried the same signal. We remember from every corner of space, they had answered. They were not many, but they were enough. Leah placed her hand on Raylen's shoulder. We lit the spark, she said. Now they carry the flame. The sky above became a storm. Blue lights clashing with red, metal against metal. Screams and silence between stars, but Raylen didn't move. He stood by the tower, watching, waiting. Then the final message began. Not a warning, not a command, but a choice. To all who hear this, the tower said. Broadcasting across all channels, humanity is not gone. We have not returned to conquer, but to connect. This is a new life. If you choose to live it on the Zernex command ship. Something flickered. Their orders, silence, destroy, erase, now faced a question they could not compute. What if the humans weren't fighting to win, but to begin? The ships paused, some turned, some fired, but others stopped. Raylen turned to Leah. They're hesitating. She nodded slowly. Even the enemy remembers. Above, one of the Zernax vessels broke formation. It powered down, lights fading. Too white, a message blinked from its side, not in their language, but in simple, human English, listening. Raylen smiled, then looked at the child, who was staring at the sky in wonder. "See, Ata," he said, "they're not blinking." They're answering. Laia stepped beside him. "What do we do now?" Raylen took a deep breath. "We live," and with that, the spark became something else. A network, a signal, a new kind of presence, human again, but never the same, in the silence between stars. In the heartbeat of systems long quiet, a voice. Now echoed, not loud, not proud, but steady. "We are human, and we are back."